Good evening and welcome back to Be Rich. My nephew Shashwat Swaminathan is here. Vinod is traveling. So I'm substituting for Vinod and we are here to discuss certain books. The books that we discuss here came in the Financial Times of England. Martin Wolf, a very renowned economist and a good friend of India, who happens to be the editor of Financial Times at that time, has said halfway through the year, these are the books to talk about. These are primarily to do with
Money.
money and economics and how a nation develops. So here are the books. Shashwat will talk about the book. He will also tell you
The description
the
of it.
description of the book. I will tell you what I think of the description. I may know some people in it. I may not know some people in it. Couple of these books I have bought. I have not yet read them. Some of these books I have decided not to read, and I will also tell you why I have not decided to read it. But these are all extraordinary books. If you can think at that and conceptualize at that level, it is a book you must buy and read.
Yes.
Initially, it will be a big struggle. Maybe 2 years down the line, you will get used to it.
Yeah. Some of these books are very readable, but let's go over them and we'll figure out each one. So, Power and Progress, our 1,000-year struggle over technology and prosperity. So, it's written by Darren Acemoglu and Simon Johnson. Technological progress does not promise a better future, but it does not deliver one automatically. If the promise is to be achieved and costs contain both the technology itself and still more, its impact must be brought under social control. That finally happened after bitter struggles in the 19th and 20th centuries. It must be done all over again, argue the authors of this very important book, if we are to reap the benefits and contain the costs of the new technology of today and tomorrow. What do you think about this?
Basically, I'll tell you what they are talking about. Whenever a technology is introduced,
Yes.
it immediately promises that there will be a lot of delivery and
Yeah.
it will deliver prosperity and we will change the way we do things.
Yes.
But it is not possible that it will deliver immediately.
Yeah. And everything it delivers need not be good.
It need not be good. It has unintended consequences.
Or negative externalities.
Negative externalities, or this leads
Spillover
to
costs.
spillover costs are too high.
Yeah.
He is talking about 19th and 20th century when a lot of new wave of equipments came.
Your steam engine, industrial.
Yeah, no, that was much before.
Yeah.
But whether it is your steam engine or your even railway lines, and initially it was roads, then there were canals,
Yeah.
then there was steam engine,
Yes.
then there was telegraph lines, then there were telephones, then there were fax machines, then there were pagers,
Yes.
cell
Planes
phones,
are a big thing. Yeah.
planes in between.
Yeah.
So the world has seen a lot of change.
Yes.
Now the rate of change is much faster than
Before.
before. I'll tell you in my life what happened.
Yeah.
My parents went in, so your
In fact, you
grandparents.
lived in the 20th century.
I lived in the 20th century.
Yeah.
And half of the 20th century,
Yes.
from 1967 to 2000.
Yes.
And I lived in a socialist country.
Yeah.
What was then a socialist country?
State planning.
Yeah. And therefore, telephones were for the rich.
Yes.
Right? Telephones were considered a luxury.
So it's not as accessible as it is today.
No, it wasn't. You had to wait 5 years for a line.
Yeah.
I came from a privileged.
Today you just walk in, pay 10,000 rupees, get a smartphone with a SIM card.
You can get for 2,000 rupees a phone, a SIM card, and get it on.
Yes.
And you can take a second-hand phone, borrow from your friend,
Yeah.
and just put a SIM card. Now, when back then, you had to wait for 5 years, and you got a black rotary machine through which you could dial.
Yeah.
And then initially you couldn't even do long distance. You had to book trunk call and wait.
Okay.
And when the trunk call came, you would be very nervous. Why do you think the other person is calling me from the big distance?
Yeah.
So it came very late when it was very common in the rest of the world that we could do long distance calling.
Correct.
And even then, long distance calling was very
So
expensive.
long distance meaning interstate.
Intercity, from here to Trichy.
Okay. That's long distance.
That's long distance.
So normal distance would be from here to a different locality of
inside the locality of Chennai.
Chennai. Okay.
Now, if I had to call Coimbatore, it was 0422
Okay.
and 0431 for Trichy,
Complete
if I
different
remember.
location.
A
Yes.
different code.
Yeah.
Now, that was long distance.
Okay.
And so STD, there was yellow boxes of
Yes.
STDs.
Yes.
And you don't know them. You know them from watching
The
movies.
remnants were, I've still seen some remnants. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you had rates. If you call after 8 o'clock, you'll get 50% rate. So everybody will call after 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Okay. Yeah. Trying to game the system.
Trying to game the system. And so all of us had letter writing in school.
Yeah.
Okay? We used to write letters
Yes.
and we could write a mean letter, right?
Yeah.
Now what has happened is, I used to write to my aunts used to write to me, people used to keep the letters. Within the city, people used to write letters.
Yeah.
People have stored some of those letters. And then I used to write letters to my parents abroad. But now what happens is WhatsApp has come,
Yeah.
voice over internet protocol. I don't even pay a lot of money to
Send a
speak on
message.
WhatsApp,
Yes.
on voice on internet protocol.
With cheap data, it's become
Cheap data.
Yeah.
And now what has happened is I don't have to write a letter.
Yes, and you don't have to organize anything. You can just pick up the phone and call.
Yeah, so the letter writing skill is gone.
But what are the negative externalities you think?
I think people have lost language writing skills.
So that's a
Everybody
negative.
could write.
Okay.
Because you have to go to school, you have to write a personal letter, formal letter, school teacher letter.
Just playing devil's advocate here, but with ChatGPT, doesn't it become very easy for?
Yeah, but you should know what to ask ChatGPT, no?
Okay.
2 generations have not written a letter.
True.
So your language skills have completely gone for a
Unless
toss.
you yourself try to build it, there's no way it's
Because
happening.
I don't have to write an essay.
Yes.
I
It's
don't
like a
write a-
muscle which isn't being used.
Exactly. No, I'm giving you a very simple example.
Yes. So the skill is atrophying.
The skill is gone.
Yeah.
Email came.
Yes.
It has destroyed the entire courier industry.
Yeah.
There were a lot of courier boys who used to deliver courier to your house. There used to be a post lady who was part of our life.
Yes.
Every day she would come, she would drink tea, she would chat with my grandmother. We knew what was happening in our house. We had a relationship. There is no postman doesn't even come to my house today. Unless registered letter he wants to give.
Yeah. And
Now the postal industry in India,
yeah.
it was so extensive that even a village had a postmaster.
Yes.
If you saw the movie Swadesh with Shah Rukh Khan,
Okay.
there was only one postmaster who was the only one with a phone,
Yeah.
who would be semi-educated.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
This is a real from a village in India.
But I also wanted to ask you about the negative externalities in terms of ethics about how data is managed and how
Yeah,
companies
but right now I'll tell you.
because you're able to like support leaders and put polarizing figures into power.
That is too much. That is
Yeah.
debatable.
Yeah,
Google knows everything about me now.
and that is a negative externality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Google controls my data. Google knows where I am. It will suggest what I'm doing.
Yes.
Google will tell, if I search for a shoe, it will tell me what all shoes to buy.
In fact, if you pass by a restaurant, it'll ask you how the restaurant is. Please rate it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Google knows everything. What my wife does not know,
Google knows about you.
Google knows.
Yes.
There was a story in an English book which I read,
Yeah.
which the software media knew that the girl was pregnant.
Before.
Even the girl realized she was pregnant.
Yeah, it kept sending pregnancy coupons, like pregnant products coupons. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the power of media, and that is very dangerous. And that is what he's trying to say. There is no regulation on data,
Yeah.
and there is no regulation on social media.
So it's
That's
a
what
must read.
that's a big thing. That's what he's arguing about. Journalism as an industry is dead.
Okay.
A good journalist will be paid 2 lakhs in Hindu because advertisement would generate that kind of revenue.
Money. Yeah.
The entire revenue has
been
shifted to Google.
AdSense.
So Hindu is dead.
Yes. So you don't have quality journalism.
You don't have quality journalism because you cannot pay the guy.
Yes.
You have destroyed the skill.
Yeah.
The only way a good writer could be in job was write in English properly for a newspaper.
Yes.
Now that newspaper job is gone.
Yes. And any
So the whole thing,
Yeah.
including the newsletter, if there is a newsletter, writing skills are killed,
Yes.
right? Because letter writing skills are skilled.
Yeah.
Now somebody wants to get skilled and studies journalism, which was a career.
Yeah.
My great grandfather was an editor of the Hindu.
Yes.
And then what happens is he goes and joins Hindu, there's no salary.
That's true. And now I quickly want to go to the next book. The next book is A World of Insecurity, Democratic Disenchantment in Rich and Poor Countries by Pranab Bardhan,
Yeah.
Harvard University Press. So the book is both ambitious and brief. It makes important contributions to the burgeoning literature on the erosion of democracy worldwide. Bardhan is a professor emeritus at the University of California, and he argues that it is due to growing economic, social, and cultural insecurity. He says the desire is to take back control, which so often emerges in the right-wing populism we now see across the world. The solution, he argues, is a renewal of social democracy.
I don't know about the solution.
Yeah.
Let's take Turkey, which is a neutral example.
Yes.
Now, everybody knew Erdogan was bad,
Erdogan, yeah.
but the people voted Erdogan bad for the same reasons that are there in that book. And what did he do? He increased rates by only 15%. The lira has fallen by 50% or some big number between 40 and 50%.
Yeah. So he's destroyed his currency.
He's destroyed his currency.
So how is he going to import and export is the question.
Exactly. In a close election,
Yeah.
people voted him to
So
power.
no one forced him into power. It's populism which has led him there.
It is populism, right-wing populism.
Yes.
Boris Johnson
Yeah.
told the British, who are basically unprotective,
Yeah.
that Brexit was a solution to all their problems. And he carried the vote. Cameroon thought the people were too intelligent to fall for it.
And they fell for it.
They fell for it.
Yeah.
And now they realize Brexit has made a bad problem even more worse.
Worse. Inflation.
That's what
is-
Pradhan is trying to say.
Okay. So it's definitely a read which people should consider.
If you are if you are interested in political science,
Then it's something to think.
think about it.
Okay, next book. Free and Equal. What would a fair society look like? Daniel Chandler. Chandler is an economist and philosopher at the London School of Economics. In this important book, he has set out radical ideas of John Rawls as a way to organize a society that is both free and fair. Rawls famously started by asking what sort of society we would choose if we did not know our place in it. Chandler starts from the same point and proceeds to build a blueprint for a better society. One does not have to agree with all of it to recognize that this is an important contribution, says Martin Wolf.
This is a very important contribution.
Okay.
Most of what we see in Scandinavian countries
Yes.
is the blueprint they were talking
Open
about.
societies.
An open society, more egalitarian,
Yeah.
where some people don't become extremely wealthy
Yes.
and some people don't become
The
very-
Gini coefficient matters.
The Gini coefficient matters. Gini coefficient is a measure of equality.
Exactly.
And what matters is
Yes.
the rich like me
Need to pay,
pay
more,
more
taxes.
taxes
Yes.
than the man sitting who is trying to
Yes.
shoot me
So
in this
give the
camera.
bottom layer tax break and tax the top layer.
I'm saying there has to be transfer of revenue
Yes.
from the rich to the poor.
Yes.
Weights have to be tied on their legs so
Yes.
that they cannot run faster. And the poor have to be given a jet propulsion engine so that they can
Yeah.
beat the rich guy.
And if you graph this on the Gini coefficient, what he's basically saying is he's pushing the curve back to the equality line. So now the curve is being brought out this way, but he's saying you tax the rich and you give a break to the poor, which basically pushes the line back. So that's the
That's exactly what he's trying to say.
yes. And quickly we'll go to the next one. Material World, a substantial story of our past and future by Ed Conway, W.H. Allen. Not only are we made of stuff, we are entirely dependent on stuff. And in this brilliant book, the journalist Conway explains what this has meant and continues to mean, looking at 6 vital materials: sand, salt, iron, copper, oil, and more recently lithium, which you keep talking about. To extract and use these essential materials, we also need energy, lots of it. Now we wish to replace the fossil fuels we rely on with carbon-free alternatives. Conway explains the enormity of the revolution this will require.
I'll tell you one thing for people in Tamil Nadu, I think most of our people are.
Yeah.
Let's look at sand.
Yes.
We drained our rivers full of sand.
Correct.
There's no sand.
Yeah. The Kaveri.
Kaveri or whatever rivers, we removed the sand.
Yeah.
The local politicians controlled it, made a lot of money illegally,
Yeah.
used it to fund elections.
Yes.
Now our rivers don't have sand. There's a shut.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? We are crushing the granite
Yeah.
and manufacturing M sand.
Artificial sand.
We are making artificial sand.
Yes.
Even when I was a kid,
Yeah.
if you told me that we would be making artificial sand,
You would have laughed.
I would have laughed.
Yes.
But that's what he's talking about.
So definitely an important read.
Yeah.
Next book, The Economic Government of the World, 1933 to 2023 by Martin Daunton. In this ambitious and comprehensive book, Daunton traces out the history of the global economic order over a century. He explains the role of the US in shaping the ideology and institutions of the world economy from the Great Depression via the Bretton Woods system, the Washington Consensus, and the GFC, Global Financial Crisis, to today's renewed disorder. Ultimately, he shows the global economic system is made and remade in response to the demands of politics, domestic and international.
It's a very important book. I didn't look at it. I'll definitely buy this book.
Yeah.
I know most of this history.
Yes.
And
You keeps talking about it, and when I do ask him about economic history, he says there are 2 spheres. One, you had the British influence, which happened before the US influence came in, and then you had the World War I, World War II, when not a single man entered the US to fight the war. And he says that After World War II, especially, the US hegemony began, and now you
Continues till today.
continues till today, and we keep talking about de-dollarization.
And but the joke, and as I speak today,
Yes.
there's a coup in Russia. I don't know whether it will succeed or not,
Yeah.
but there's a major coup in Russia underway.
Regardless, I want to give him a break on this book because I already know exactly what he has to say about it. Definitely a must read. And the guy is onto something because he's talking about it in the US perspective, and that's the perspective to look at right now. Next book, Pricing the Priceless: The Financial Transformation to Value the Planet, Solve the Climate Crisis, and Protect Our Most Important Assets. Again, I know he'll directly agree to reading this book, so I'm just going to quickly go over this and go to a book which I think he'll find interesting. Why Empires Fall: Rome, America, and the Future of the West, by Peter Heather and John Rapley. Western hegemony is in decline. So, how should the West deal with this new world with a rising China and an increasingly independent periphery? The author of this book argued that it was a question faced by an earlier Western hegemonic power, the Roman Empire. It collapsed. But what the West needs now is the simple realism. It cannot make itself great again in the old terms. Instead, the Western powers must get on with constructing the new, less self aggrandizing world order, which would in fact defend their and everyone else's interests more effectively.
I tend to disagree.
Okay.
There can be a lot of chaos,
Yeah.
but when Rome fell, there was an Eastern Roman Empire,
Yes.
the Byzantine Empire, as
Yeah. The Holy Roman Empire came.
the Holy Roman Empire came.
Yes.
So it moved away from Italy. The Constantinople became
Yeah.
the,
Constantinople.
and then there were the Turks and the Ottoman empires and all
Yes.
that.
Cultural mishmash.
Yeah, there was a cultural mishmash.
Yes.
Here, what I do not agree with him on this case is that China is an alternate.
Yes. Because we've discussed this in our article which we wrote for the Hindu.
Yeah,
where-
because I'll tell you,
Yeah.
China is suffering two things which US is not suffering.
Yes.
China has a
Population
absolute
problem.
drop in population,
Yes.
and there's no transparency in data in China.
Yes. And it's not an open society.
It is not an open
This
society.
is the furthest thing from an open society.
America is all the three.
Yes.
So I don't think an Russian-Chinese axis
Yes.
can
Hold.
Hold.
And provide challenge to
to
the
the
West.
West. Even India, which could have challenged the West,
Yes.
is now in an authoritarian squeeze, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
When push comes to shove, India will abandon Russia and move over to the
US.
US.
And I think that sums up what he has to say very well. And let's move on to the next book, Collapse of Antiquity: Greece and Rome as Civilization's Oligarchic Turning Point, Michael Hudson. This is Hudson's second volume in a trilogy on the political economy of debt. The first, And Forgive Them Their Debts, was on the ancient Near East in the Bronze Age. It discussed the role of debt forgiveness in stabilizing ancient polities. In this one, Hudson explores the rise of the rentier oligarchies of classical Greece and Rome. Debt reduced the independent peasantry to penury and peonage and turned republics into despotisms. The final book will be on how debt is now poisoning our world.
I agree completely.
And he's already talked about it in Money Pecha, Tattva Pecha, and Be Rich, and Makal Pecha, and all his other channels, and in channels which he's appeared. Debt is something which you have to avoid, and it's definitely a poison. So, moving on. Final book, let's talk about it. The New China Playbook: Beyond Socialism and Capitalism, Qiu Jin. Born and raised in Beijing, Jin is a professor at the London School of Economics. I guess Martin Wolf has a favoritism to play for LSE graduates. This makes her one of a small handful of professional economists who understand China from the inside. In this book, she writes, what we are watching in Xi Jinping's China is the emergence of a new playbook. This new playbook represents a search for a new equilibrium, which involves striking a balance between greater equality and market incentives, security and growth, self-reliance and continued engagement with the West.
I completely disagree.
Yes.
This is a Maoist. He wants to, it's an authoritarian dictatorship. The way I look at it, she may know better than me.
Yeah.
But the way it looks from outside, it's an authoritarian dictatorship, just like Stalin and Mao.
Yeah.
I completely disagree.
Okay. And one sentence comments on these books.
I think we've done enough. We'll do it for another day. Meet you into part 2. Thank you for watching. Be Rich. There are a set of another books which I would like to read. We will definitely do the other books. I enjoyed doing these books. I hope this video does well. If you like the video, subscribe to my channel and write your comments below. If you have done all of this, Just forward this video to your friends and relatives and have them take a look. Once again, I thank you for your support for Be Rich. I am in Tokyo on work on the 5th of August 2023. I have a lot of following in Japan, Tokyo. Those who want to meet me in Tokyo on 5th August, kindly drop me an email on the address given below or contact us on WhatsApp there. My team would get in touch with you and facilitate the meeting. Once again, I thank you for your support for Be Rich. It's a great privilege and honor that so many of you in thousands have subscribed to my channel and have supported me. I have written 2 books in English, The Alchemy of Money and Ordinary Stocks, Extraordinary Profits. These books are published by us and are ready. If you want to procure a copy, send us a message to the WhatsApp number given below and my team would respond to you. If you want an Amazon Kindle copy, you can click the link below. Finally, those who wish to consult with me can send a mail to berichenglish@gmail.com. Once again, I thank you for your support. If you like this video, press the subscribe button of my channel, hit the like button and turn on the bell notification.